Hello students, please pardon my voice. In our earlier class, we discussed about the atomic structure, particularly with the discovery of electron, the discovery of proton, discovery of the nucleus, and the various theories concerning the atomic structure. We ended with the Bohr's atomic model, in which we saw that around the nucleus the electrons revolve in fixed orbits, okay, or shells or energy levels. All these shells are quantized or they have fixed energies, okay. For example, the first energy level or the first shell is the K shell, okay. It is closest to the nucleus, okay. And how many electrons it can have? It can have a maximum of 2 electrons. That was based upon the formula 2n square. Okay. And similarly, in the second orbit, how many will be there? So in the first orbit, there are 2 electrons. In the second orbit, 8, then 18, and then 32. So in this way, in the different orbits, we have the maximum number of electrons as 2, 8, 18, and 32. Okay. Then we also discuss about the electronic configuration. Okay. That is how the electrons are arranged around the nucleus. Today we are going to discuss about a very important topic, that is valency electrons. What is the reason for the chemical reactivity of the atoms? What are isotopes? What are isobars? So let us start. A very important concept in chemistry is valency. Okay. So what are valency electrons? Valency shell is the outermost shell of an atom. Okay. So if we consider this particular atom KLM, okay, if you are considering that M is the outermost shell, okay, then in M how many we can have? We can have maximum of 18 electrons, okay. But how many electrons are there? 1, 2, 2 electrons are there, okay. So in the outermost shell, okay, the outermost shell is known as the valency shell, and the electrons that are present in the valency shell are known as the valency electrons. This is very important because the chemical properties depend on these valency electrons. The chemical properties depend on the valency electrons. Let us see, for example, how do we write the electronic configuration of lithium. Okay, so we know that K, L, M, N. Okay, how many electrons? 2, 8, 18, 32. This is how the maximum. But as you remember from yesterday's, from the last video, that what does the Bohr-Bury scheme suggest? That you cannot have more than 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. Okay, so now let us write the electronic configuration. It will be 2, 1. Here for 4 it will be 2, 2. For 5 it will be 2, 8. Okay, 10, and then will come 1. Similarly for magnesium, it will be for aluminium, for potassium, it will be 2 8. Okay, 2 8 is 10, and then another 8 is 18, and then we go for 1. So here we don't fill up more than 8, right? You have to remember that. Similarly for calcium, it is 2 8 18 2. Okay, that is coming to 20. Okay, what about carbon? 2 4, right? 2 5, 2 6, 2 7, here 2 8 10, and 4. Okay, 5, 2 8 6, and in this case in chlorine the atomic number is 17. The mass number can be either 35 or 37. Okay, so we will look at this in the further isotopes. So here it will be what? 287. Okay. Now the reason here why we are writing the electronic configuration, please remember, in chemistry you need to write and practice. It is very important. You need to write and practice. If you just try to memorize orally, it is not very helpful. You need to write and practice. So please write these kind of electronic configuration, repeat, and then you will become more perfect. So now what is the valency electrons? If it is 1 2 or 3, except in the case of hydrogen or helium, they will be metals. So this 2 3. Okay, so lithium, beryllium, boron, three of these are metals. Okay, similarly sodium, magnesium, aluminium, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, these are also metals. Potassium, calcium, these are also metals. Okay, so what has happened, wherever the valency electron we have as 1 2 or 3, okay, they are metals, except for hydrogen and helium because they are atomic number 1 and 2 respectively. So what happens is, suppose this one electron, right, in the valency shell, if it lose this electron, then what will happen? It will become positively charged. Okay, after losing the electron, it will become positively charged. So positively charged ions are known as cations. Positive. Easy way to remember: cat, paw. No? Paw. Cat has a paw, right? So you can remember in that word, cat, paw. Cat means positive. Positive ion. Okay. So it acts also as a reducing agent because it is giving electrons. So because it is giving electrons, it can reduce the other substances. Therefore, it is a reducing agent. Okay, so in this way the chemical properties are depending upon the valency electrons. Okay, this is very important. If the valency electrons are 4 5 6 or 7, okay, like these 4 5 6 7, okay, then they will be the non-metals. Okay, for example, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, neon, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, all of these are non-metals. Okay, and all of them form anions. That is, they will gain the electron, and therefore what they will become? They will become negative charge, and therefore we say it is the anions. They are oxidizing agents because they are taking electrons. Okay, they are taking electrons, therefore they are oxidizing the other substances. Now the concept of valency comes from the valency electron, the valency shell. This valency is one of the very important concepts in understanding the chemical reactions. The octet theory of valency, or the electronic theory of valency, was proposed by Cosell and Lewis in 1916. What did they suggest? The atoms of all elements except inert gases combine because they have incomplete valency shells and tend to attain a stable configuration. What does it mean? The atoms of all elements except inert gases combine because they have incomplete valency shells and tend to attain a stable configuration. That means inert gases, okay, they are stable, okay. All other elements try to be stable like the inert gases, okay. How they tend to attain this stable configuration of the inert gases, okay. What is this configuration? So the number of electrons that are gained, lost or shared to attain the octet, okay, to attain the octet in the outermost shell gives the combining capacity to the element, which is called the valency, okay. So what is valency? Valency is the combining capacity of the element, okay. The combining capacity of the element, the ability of the element to react, to chemically react with the other elements. What is a octet? That is 8, total of 8 electrons. Like here we are seeing, you see, here maximum 8. Here also 8 has to be filled up. Then only it will go to the next, not more than 8. Okay. So what Cosell and Lewis, what they suggested? They suggested the octet theory. Okay. That means like inert gases, all other elements are trying to get this octet configuration, that is 8 number of electrons in the outermost shell, okay. So suppose if the valency electrons is 1, 2 or 3, so what will be the valency? The valency will also be 1, 2, 3, okay. But if the valency electrons are 4, 5, 6 and 7, okay, with the property of non-metals, right? Then what will be the valency? It will be 8 minus valency electrons, okay. So it will be 4, 8 minus 5 3, 8 minus 6 2, 8 minus 7 1, okay. So this is very important. If the valency electrons is 4 5 6 7, then the valency will be 4 3 2 1, okay, because it is easy for it to lose the electrons in order to gain the octet configuration. What about duplet like in helium? Helium is also stable, it is a noble gas, okay. So it is having two electrons and it is a stable. That is why we say it is a duplet. It is a duplet. Octet means it should have 8 electrons in the outermost shell, okay. That is the case with all other inert gases. So what will be the valency? Because they are not going to lose or gain electrons, they are stable, therefore they are non-reactive, their valency is 0, okay. Moving to the chemical bond, how do we define the chemical bond? The chemical bond may be defined as, okay, it can be defined as the force of attraction between two atoms that bind them as a unit called molecule. Okay, so we will see a chemical bond is nothing but it is the attraction. Okay, so suppose there is a element X, okay, there is a element Y, okay, so they have to attract, this and this element have to attract each other and they will form some bond, okay. They can be different types of bonds, they can be ionic bond, covalent bond, okay. Different types of bonds are there, but it is the force of attraction between the atoms, okay, which will make them bind together to form a molecule. Now we'll look at a very important concept of isotopes. Isotopes, what are isotopes? The atoms of the same element having the same atomic number but different mass number. For example, In the case of a hydrogen, okay, protium, okay, atomic number, mass number both 1. Deuterium, atomic number does not change, mass number is 2. Tritium, atomic number 1, mass number is 3. So the difference is due to the different number of neutrons. You see here in deuterium there is one extra neutron is there, where here there is no neutron, and here there are two neutrons. Okay. So protium is the regular hydrogen that we are talking about. Deuterium is like in heavy water in nuclear reactors. Heavy water is used. It is made from D2O. Okay, it is not H2O. It is D2O. Okay, deuterium oxide. So that is the deuterium. It is the heavier isotope. And then comes the tritium. Tritium. It is a less stable. Okay, this is a less stable. So these are all isotopes. Atomic number is same, but mass is different. Okay. So for example, carbon. In carbon, there are these three different isotopes are there, where the mass number is either 12, 13 or 14. This is radioactive. It is radioactive. Okay. And in the case of chlorine, the most abundant is 35, less abundant 37. So mostly based upon the abundance, we can calculate what is the molecular weight. We will see later, but these two are the isotopes. Okay, these are also isotopes. Isotopes means same atomic number, different atomic mass. Okay, and why is the difference in the atomic mass? It is because of the different number of neutrons. Okay, so what are the properties of isotopes? They have the similar chemical properties. They have similar chemical properties but differ in the physical properties. Why they have similar chemical properties? Because atomic number is same, then number of electrons is the same. If number of electrons is same, then the number of electrons that are there in the valency shell will be same. So if valency is same, then chemical reactivity will also be same. Okay. Their physical properties are different, such as density and boiling point. Okay, few of them may be different. It is not that all physical properties of the isotopes will be different. Few of these physical properties can be different, particularly density, boiling point and all. Okay, what happens is the heavier isotopes, okay, it is the heavy, not higher, it is the heavier. The heavier mass of the isotope have the higher boiling point. Okay, so this will have the, if you took the boiling point, okay, C12 will be less than C13 will be less than C14. So C14 will have the higher boiling point than C12 and C13. Okay. Radioactivity is not a chemical reaction. It is a nuclear reaction. Correct? It is a nuclear reaction. So radioactivity is the spontaneous decay of a unstable radioisotope. Okay. For example, C14 and tritium. Okay. This is C14 and tritium. Both of these are radioactive. Okay, they have excess of neutrons, they have more neutrons, and therefore they are unstable. So because they are unstable, they will decay spontaneously to give out the radioactive rays. Okay, so what are the isotopes importance? How are these isotopes used? One of the important applications is cobalt. Cobalt 60 is used in the radiotherapy of cancer. Okay, it is a gamma radiation. Okay, it emits a gamma radiation. Okay, it is a gamma radiation. Cobalt 60. C14 is used for the geological age determination because you see carbon C12, C13, C14 are there, but C14 is less common, okay, less abundant. So when time goes on over number of hundreds of years, thousands of years, the abundance of these isotopes change. Okay, based upon what is the ratio of these C12 and C14, we can determine what is the age of the sample. Okay, because as time goes on, this will decay, right? This is less stable, so it will decay, it will give radiation, its ratio will decrease. In that way people determine. Uranium 235 is used as a fuel in the nuclear reactors. Okay, by the nuclear fission in the nuclear reactor we are able to produce the energy, that is uranium 235. Iodine 131 is used in the treatment of goiter. Okay, goiter is there is a big formation in the throat, that is a thyroid gland. Okay, due to iodine deficiency. Okay, what happens? Thyroid gland gets inflamed, it gets very huge. What is the fractional atomic mass? So when you look at the periodic table, you will see that most of the atomic mass are given in something like this, decimals, fractions. Why? You know that number of electrons is equal to number of protons. Okay. So if this is negligible weight, protons and neutrons, both of them together forming the nucleus, nucleon in the nucleus. Okay, which is contributing to the mass of the atom. Okay, so why, if we consider this in a mass units, that is the AMU, atomic mass unit, if we are taking in a relative mass, this is what you say, relative mass, right? Relative mass, then why we are getting fractions? Okay, we are getting fractions because if you take for example naturally occurring chlorine, 75% of it is in this isotope 35, and 25% of the chlorine is in this isotope 37. Okay, so how you determine the mass? So you take the multiply this one with the abundance, what is the fraction, and divided by what is the ratio. So you get this. So this is the average fractional. Okay, average fractional atomic mass. Okay. Now we move on to the isobars. Isobars. What are isobars? The atoms of different elements with the same mass number. Okay, mass number is same but have different atomic numbers. This is a different. Okay, so xy, if you take z a z a, okay, so here what is going to happen? Mass number, okay, of a1 is equal to a2, but the atomic number is different, that is z1 is different from z2. They have different chemical and physical properties. Okay, they have different chemical properties because they have different atomic number, then they have different number of electrons. If number of electrons are different, then chemical reactivity, chemical reactions will be different, properties will be different. Example, argon 40, calcium 40. Okay, so mass number is same, but atomic number is different. They are different elements. Okay, so then we say they are isobars. Okay, here also you see 54 54, chromium, iron, atomic mass, atomic number is different, atomic mass is same. Okay, so in isobars what is happening, they have different chemical and physical properties, but the mass number is the same, atomic number is different. Okay, so please solve the questions in exercise 4C to review the understanding of what we covered today. Thank you.